On rare occasions, I've represented nurses who failed to renew their license in a timely fashion. So, in other words, they're practicing as a nurse without a license. Now, that is a situation that calls for disciplinary action by the board, and that means it's public. So, what are the possible outcomes when you go past the deadline to file? Well, first of all, there's two categories that the Nevada State Board of Nursing looks at. One is a license where it's been failed to be renewed in 6 months versus longer than 6 months. There's a fine they will have you pay if it's less than 6 months. And if it's more than 6 months, it's a very hefty fine. So you're going to want to pay attention to the deadlines. When have nurses made this mistake? One example was reliance upon a spouse who was meticulous record keeping and had great habits, but on this occasion failed. So my advice is don't rely on someone else, including your spouse, for keeping track of that renewal date. Now, as you know, the renewal date after the first period of time that you've been made a nurse in Nevada is on every 2 years on your birth date. Another case that I saw was a nurse who tried to apply, but failed to make sure that the payment went through. And we eventually got that case closed because we were able to obtain credit card records showing that the attempt had been made, and it was possibly a mistake on the side of the nursing board for processing the payment. But it took over a year to uncover the evidence that an attempt had been made and that possibly the failure of the transaction to go through was on the side of the Board of Nursing. Another case I had was a nurse who failed to renew, and luckily she wasn't practicing as a nurse per se. She was in another area that didn't fit the unauthorized practice of nursing, but that took quite a bit of work as well. So keep track of those dates. Don't allow yourself to go past the deadline. And if you do catch it, then fix it sooner, because the fine goes up several orders of magnitude if it goes past 6 months. Also, this presents a problem for an employer who has been billing your time out as a nurse when you didn't have the license. So avoid all of that by having maybe a plan to renew a little early, and then make sure you have a backup reminders so that you never get in that situation.